Oh, it's weird recording with you.
Go on, just do it.
Okay. Hey, it's Jamie, and this is the parent Q&A, and this is my mum.
Hi, I'm Christine.
So here are just a few questions that you guys have sent me on my blog to answer with my mum. What was it like when I told you I was trans?
It was a bit of a puzzle really, because I don't think I knew what transgender was really properly, and I had a lot of concerns about your life and how that would all play out. So my first reaction was to persuade you to live life as you were.
Question 2. Were you surprised when I came out as transgender?
Yes, I was, because I think you'd come out as gay a couple of months beforehand, which I was perfectly comfortable with. I think that didn't upset me in any major way. When you came out as trans, like I've just said, I didn't really understand fully what transgender was. I thought it was something that was just peculiar, that very few people, experienced. Therefore, I really didn't know how to deal with it. We talked a lot. We talked day in and day out about it, really. And I suppose you hope it goes away. And then, the kind of shock horror of it subsides, and then you have to listen to your child and what would make them happy.
On the surface, you didn't seem as surprised as...
Yes, I
you
suppose...
probably were underneath.
Yes, maybe that's true.
Because you were very understanding towards me.
Oh yes,
whilst
because
dealing with it.
Yeah, but that's your the main overriding thing for me was not how I felt, but was what you would experience and what that would mean for your life.
How long did it take you to get used to my new name and male pronouns?
Yeah. Well, I think you know that better than me. It does take a while, because you do slip back into calling people by the name that you've known them for all their life. And it did happen intermittently. It never happens now, though. I never relate to your old name. I absolutely see you now as Jamie, 100%. The he and the she and the pronouns were more difficult. And very occasionally, 1 in 1,000 times it might still slip out.
Yeah.
But on the whole, no, I don't really see it that way at all now.
Yeah.
Yes. I sometimes forget that you were ever anything different from what you are now.
That's cool. I'd say it took you about 6 months to get the hang of it a bit more regularly. It does take a long time, because it's automatic, and it doesn't mean that you don't see somebody as who they are.
No, that's right. It was difficult. It was difficult. And it wasn't difficult because of resistance. It's just habit. How are we doing?
No, I think it's going well.
Go on then.
Okay. What helped you to understand and be able to support me through my transition?
Oh, there's no question about that. The fact that you educated yourself 100% about it all, you looked up information on the internet, you found out about how other mothers experienced it, other people explained to their parents, told me all about it. Told me about other people's experiences, the actual people themselves who were going through the similar thing to you. And seeing all of that made me feel, not that it was more normal or more acceptable necessarily, but more that you could have a normal life. And that was that again, I said it 2 minutes ago, but that's the overriding thing for me, that you weren't going to find yourself in a very difficult situation where you didn't have any friends, no partner, and were somehow ostracised.
Yeah, no, I do know you did voice that.
That was really my major concern. Yeah.
How did you feel about me having top surgery?
I think that was probably the next big kind of shock for me. After you came out as transgender and we started to get used to that, and you were living your life that way, I think by that time you were on testosterone.
Yeah.
So I accepted all of those steps. We'd been to see the specialist and everything was going in that direction, and then you told me that you'd been looking for surgeons for top surgery, and I found that really quite difficult, not because of me thinking about you as your former self and then changing, but really it was a large operation. It's a double mastectomy. Also thinking of other women who have to have this for medical reasons, and here I was giving permission to my teenager to have major surgery to remove parts of their body that there was absolutely nothing wrong with, apart from the fact that they had gender dysphoria, the dysphoric about their body, and therefore that this was a major issue. And I think the persuading factor was the major effect that it was having on you, and certainly following the surgery, which went very well. I think that you were much more comfortable in yourself as the weeks went by, and
Definitely.
I could see that,
Yeah.
and that goes for the whole process. I think you're a much happier, more content person than you were prior to this. I mean, some of that's probably got to do with the fact that you were a mid-range teenager then, and now you're a young adult, but nevertheless I think that there was still a big proportion, so it was a bit of a shock. I think you did again educate me about it. I was engaged, I spoke to the surgeon and everything else, but it wasn't easy. But interestingly, going to see this surgeon also let me see that there were a large number of other people
that
suffering from the same issues, and who were opting to have the top surgery done, and that also helped.
How did you deal with the changes I had with testosterone?
Well, I think you were so excited about it. It was hard not to be carried along on that. I suppose at one point I had some concern about the idea of taking this hormone for all of your life. It is a naturally occurring substance, of course, but it wasn't naturally occurring at those levels in your body. Therefore, I did have some concern. There's not been particularly long-term, lifelong studies of this, so I suppose there was some issues around that. But they've subsided hugely since I've seen the changes in you and the way you feel about yourself, the way you behave. So that really set you on the path for you to feel that you were the person that you should have always have been.
Yeah.
And therefore I couldn't help but be pleased about that. I do think that you look quite striking with your beard, of course. No, I think it's really good, and I think that gives you that feeling that you are who you always wanted to be.
Yeah, well, it's
so I no longer have
seeing in the mirror, isn't it?
Yes, that's right. So I no longer have the same concerns about the hormone.
Striking. Thanks, Mum. And final question: when I'm not around, do you ever educate people on trans issues, if necessary?
Well, yeah, sometimes I think, because when I tell people about your situation, and people maybe that have known you in the past, or maybe have only known you recently, I sometimes have that conversation about you being transgender, particularly since your video went live. I think that, do I educate them? I suppose I do. I suppose I tell them what my experience was, my understanding of the prevalence of transgender in the society, and that it's just another manifestation of humankind. It's not something weird. It's not normal. If you look at it's not in the normal distribution range, let's put it that way, but it's a significant minority of individuals that experience this, and therefore we shouldn't make people in that category feel that that's something wrong or bad. Cool. So I do try to tell people, and in actual fact where I work is very open-minded and very supportive, and have societies, and actually reported on your video on YouTube and things. Yes, that's right. So they were, and that makes it easier. That makes it much easier. So therefore I think the more open people are about these things, and the more supportive, then it becomes much more difficult for that other significant minority who are somewhat rather narrow-minded, maybe even scared, who feel that they have to be abusive or rude.
Okay, that's all the questions. Thank you for watching. Bye-bye.
I hope you found that useful. Thank you for listening.
Bye.
Bye.